We are presenting Eichmann's final plea from the aspect of the psychological studies. Eichmann's background. Adolf Eichmann was born on March 19, 1906. He joined the Nazi Party at the suggestion of his friend. Eichmann then became a member of the SS, stands for Security Service, in 1932. He served as an SS corporal at the concentration camp. He died on May 31, 1962. Eichmann was in charge for the Central Office for Jewish Immigration in Vienna. He and his staff was in charge for the Jews to be concentrated into ghettos in major cities. After World War II, he was responsible for the mass deportation, which contained 3,500 Jews from Moravia and Vienna to Nisko. As Nazi began the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, their Jewish policy changed from immigration to extermination. In this new policy, Eichmann and his staff became responsible for the Jewish deportation to extermination, where the victims were shot to death.
Ash's conformity study with Eichmann's plea. How much social pressure can you handle? Really, how much? Ash's study shows individuals tend to follow others at most of the circumstances. However, when individuals are paired, then they might express their own opinion rather than following others. People tend to conform because they won't fit in with the group or their environment, and because they believe the group is better informed. According to Ash's study, Eichmann was one of the individuals who was under social pressure to follow others. In his final plea, he stated, under the circumstances then prevailing, such an attitude was not possible, nor did anyone behave in this fashion. This shows how Eichmann was under social pressure to follow the orders and his peers. He couldn't just back off from these duties that everyone else was following. In a book called Eichmann in Jerusalem by Hannah Arendt, where the author expressed her opinion about Eichmann by stating that he was not a psychopath or a sociopath. However, she stated, he was under no compassion to act as he did. He could have opted out at any moment. All his actions were voluntary. This was simply a result of conformity that Ash's study proved.
Zimbardo was born March 23, 1933. He is a psychologist and professor emeritus at Stanford University. He investigates how readily people would conform to the roles of girls and prisoners in the role-playing exercise that stimulates prison life. Procedure: to study the role people play in prison situations, Zimbardo converted a basement of the Stanford University Psychology Building into a mock prison. He advised for students to play the role of prisoners and girls for 2 weeks. Participants were randomly assigned to either the role of prison or girls. In the beginning, prison arrested lights from their home, driving to the basement to Stanford University. Prison were uniform and referring to their prison number only. All girls were dressed in identical uniforms and they carry a whistle around their neck. Girls also wore special sunglasses to make eye contact with prisoner impossible. Within an hour of the beginning, prisoners become more submissive, girls become more aggressive and obsessive. 6th day, the experiment was terminated. In conclusion, people will readily conform to the social roles they are expected to play, especially in the roles are strongly stereotyped as those of the prison girls. Guards found new side of themselves. The study's finding cannot be reasonable generalized to real life. Prisoners were not protected from psychological harm. Zimbabwe concluded there were no lasting negative effects.
Dr. Philip Zimbardo designed a Stanford University basement tour prison experiment to explore what will happen to normal college students when they were assigned to roles of prisoner and the guards in a real-life prison simulation. After seeing how easily people can be influenced by the authority to commit acts very much against their ethics, Zimbardo did not believe that people were naturally sadistic. To prove, he made that experiment to show people can develop sadistic behavior when given a power in a certain situation, which became reality. Some of the guards started to be very harsh and brutal to the prisoners. Just the way that the sadistic tendency that came out in the guards so quickly was unbelievable. They could not last whole 2 weeks they had planned. We all can imagine psychologically it would have been tough for acting inmates, but to look back on it, it is a real show how people obey higher powers so readily. However, after this experiment, psychologists and everyone now have a much better understanding of human behavior. Behavior is situationally depending on the kind of environment we live in and how much power we are given. Due to this experiment, we were able to understand the action of Adolf Eichmann as well as the old soldiers' actions. How Nazis who would normally not do anything to hurt humanity would treat the Jewish people cruelly because they were put in that position. After this experiment, Dr. Zimbardo gave a speech by saying that how people can change just by given power and how this experiment was successful and beneficial in understanding human mind.
One of the most influenced psychologists, Dr. Stanley Milgram, made an experiment that shocked the world. In 1962, he started an experiment that learns how people obey to authority. Reasons to this experiment were to learn structure of human psychology, to learn limitation of human compassion, to learn blind obedience of humans, and to learn role of authority in human nature. This experiment is highly productive in our opinion. The reason is it is a really good way of knowing level of the obedience of humans to their authority. And the results were surprising. According to the scientists, there should have been only 3 to 5% of people who actually will go until 450 volts. However, according to the experiment, 65% of people actually did go until the end, 450 volts. Only 5% stopped at the estimated average of scientists that was 300 volts. According to this experiment, humans and human nature are very dependent and related to authority that holds them. Relationship to the Eichmann plea is that Dr. Milgram wanted to know how German people who were decent and normal people in everyday life can permit their authority to exterminate Jewish people during Holocaust. This was the question that questioned Dr. Stanley. This is the reason why he began this experiment.